EFT tapping is an evidence-based technique that combines Western psychology with Eastern knowledge of the meridians. Way back at episode 15, that released in 2019, I interviewed practitioner and trainer Khadine. Now, this interview is worth listening to a second time, and with so many new women finding the podcast and there being over 170 episodes to listen to, I thought I would start bringing back some of my favourite interviews so they don't get missed. So here we go again, this time with episode 171, EFT Tapping for Menopause. Welcome to Menopause Natural Solutions, your podcast for all things perimenopause, menopause and beyond. Stay tuned as your host, naturopath Jennifer Harrington, explains how to use natural therapies to find your ultimate health and happiness during your transition. I'm so excited to introduce the colourful and fabulous Khadine Aharon. Welcome, Khadine.
Hi, Jen. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thanks. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Oh, I feel so honoured.
Well, guys, we have an absolute treat of a podcast lined up for you today. But before we get started, I wanted to give you the heads up that this isn't the best episode to listen to in your car. And that is because Khadine is going to walk you through a mini EFT or emotional freedom technique session at the end. The ideal place to listen to this podcast is from the comfort of your home. So you can join in the session, or if you're driving, just come back and listen again later at a more suitable time.
Or in a park.
Oh, even better.
Sunshine.
Under a tree with nature. Love it.
Getting some grounding.
Yes. So I'm extremely fortunate to have known Khadine for many years. She has a powerful story of personal transformation that makes her an even better practitioner because she's been there and done that. She uses the tools on herself, her clients, and even trains practitioners in this technique. Khadine, would you like to tell the listeners a little more about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Jen. Well, I'm an accredited social worker, but I also have a background in natural therapies. And to give you a little bit of backstory of my life and how I came to EFTs, I used to teach massage therapy by the time I was 20. So I started in natural therapies really quite young. And I had my thriving massage therapy business and I was teaching massage. And around 25, all of a sudden, I was having anxiety attacks doing massage. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't get out of bed, or if I did dishes, I wouldn't be able to do anything for the rest of the day. And I pretty much had to give up work overnight. I went from 50-hour weeks to nothing, pretty much. And that started me on my healing journey. I lost everything. And I couldn't go from a 50-hour week to nothing. So I thought, I'll go to TAFE. So I went to TAFE. I used to fall asleep in TAFE. When that was finished, I went to uni. And at uni, I discovered that I went from TAFE with distinctions to failing, right? Can you believe that? And it would take 10 attempts to read a single sentence. I just couldn't make sense of it. And my doctor didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And then one day I came across this term online called brain fog. I'm like, what's that? And so I look at this study of someone with fibromyalgia, because that's part of my health conditions, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And it showed that a healthy brain versus someone who is with fibromyalgia, and fibromyalgia, they have a reduction in grey matter by 8 to 12%. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's what that's about. What do I need to do about that? So that put me on my journey to find out ways to reduce my stress hormone levels, which is, if you don't know, it's like cortisol level, which you'll be really familiar with, Jennifer.
Yes. Yes, it's very common, especially in stressed out people, being a stressed hormone. And the problem these days is we're not getting chased by that saber-toothed tiger. It's not the animals coming after us. It's life.
That's right.
It's financial bills and things like that. But sorry, I'll let you continue.
Yeah. And reducing that cortisol level is important for our whole life cycle, because even if we look at people with dementia, they have really high levels of cortisol. If someone's experienced ongoing trauma through their lifetime and, for example, has experienced post-traumatic stress disorder either as a child or an adult, they have twice the amount of cortisol. And so through the whole life stages, it's really important to reduce that cortisol. So that's how I got interested in EFT. And I remember the first training I ever went to, because I'd done many years of counselling, I picked an event that I thought would be so easy. I'm like, oh, yeah, I've done that in counselling. Anyway, they almost had to get a bin for me to vomit to, because as soon as we started the process, it brought up the trauma my body had been holding on to, and it enabled my body to let go of it. And the next day, I couldn't stop laughing. And it was like every cell in my body was dancing to the sunlight. It's the only way I can imagine it. I can even describe it. And that started me on my EFT journey. I'm like, wow, if I can do this for myself just in a training, what can I do to help other people who've experienced trauma or who've lived with chronic illness or who are going through all different stages in life? And the transition through to menopause is another stage in life. And we experience all different emotional and physical things. And that's why EFT is so perfect for that transition stage.
So what actually is EFT?
EFT is an evidence-based technique.
Okay.
And it combines Western psychology with Eastern knowledge of the meridians. So in EFT, we really honour the shitty stuff, is how I like to describe it. With a lot of things, we try and avoid the painful things in life. But with EFT, we really honour it, and then we honour ourselves in experiencing that. And we tap on specific meridian points, which allows that painful things that we've been holding on to release. So I like to describe it as, can you imagine a cup of dirty water? And it's filled to the top with dirty water, and that dirty water represents all the painful physical and emotional things that we're feeling. Well, you can't fit any good stuff in that cup because it's full of dirty water, the painful stuff. So you can talk until the cows come home, but it's not going to empty the glass of dirty water. And what EFT does, it allows that dirty water to empty. So all that painful stuff to empty in a really easy, comfortable, safe way.
And hence why you were so happy the following day. You'd released
That's right. I had released this major trauma, and it left room for me, for the real me.
And to fill that cup up with something else.
That's right, and our natural state of being. So in EFT, we don't have to put effort into reframing something into a positive or making an event into a positive or saying, oh, that event was so positive. We don't need to do that, because once you remove the dirty water, we just become to our natural state of being, which is in a much happier, more peaceful state.
Fantastic. So what kind of things do you use EFT for?
Everything. And I mean everything. I've used it for when I'm hormonal, so I don't feel so sick. Like, you know me, Jennifer, I've had hormonal issues for a long time on and off. Yeah. And I use it to help manage that nausea and that tiredness. And I use it to manage my, when I feel myself getting hot. I've used it to manage headaches, for my muscle pain that I experience with fibromyalgia. On an emotional level, I've used it to resolve trauma from my childhood, to improve my relationship with my mum, to manage stress on a daily basis, to reduce my anxiety. I often do it in the car driving. Like, do you ever get anxious driving?
That's a funny story. I've written off 3 cars in 3 years. I'm a good person. I'm not the bad driver, I should just say. It's everyone else hitting me.
I need to do some EFT maybe for that. Yeah, I often do EFT at the lights, because the basics are so simple. You can just do it on your fingers and no one would know. You can be in a stressful situation, no one would know. Yeah. I have clients who come to me because they have relationship issues, and they go home, and as soon as an argument starts, they start tapping on their hands. And they don't get so angry.
And I must admit, you've given me a tapping on my hand exercise to do in the past that helped me through a very, very stressful situation. So it does work.
Oh, it's amazing. And there's so many things you can use it for. For post-traumatic stress, like it's just unreal. And there's so much research continually coming out about the effectiveness of EFT. And one of the latest research papers to come out compares EFT with cognitive behavioural therapy and I think breathing from memory, and the impact that CBT gets in 6 months, EFT gets in 2 months.
Wow. I certainly wouldn't want to suffer for 6 months if I could do it in 2.
That's right, and it doesn't come back.
Awesome. Wow. So should we actually have a go? But before we have a go, I actually wanted to ask you, what's the difference between having a session like the one we're going to have today and having an individual session with an EFT practitioner like yourself?
Great. And it's a really good question because there is quite a big difference. So what we're going to do together now is kind of like a guided meditation. And I'm not getting to specifics for individuals. What I'm going to be bringing in is a whole list of physical and emotional symptoms you've shared with me, Jem, that your clients have shared with you about what they experience. So I'm going to bring in a whole range of things all different people have expressed. So that's very different to someone coming to me personally and saying, Khadine, I'm experiencing this and this and this.
Yeah.
So we'll be working more globally. So you get gentler results. When you're working individually, you get more intense results because we're looking at, well, what's the cause for you? So you have a lot of anxiety now. When we go through different life stages, it can trigger different emotions for us. Even, taking away all the hormonal changes, just being in the life stage of that menopause transition there's so many changes. We don't see ourselves as young anymore. There's this whole culture in our society that once you're no longer young, you somehow, you're not, don't have the same value. You're not relevant in society. Yeah. And there's so much pressure on women. And that in itself can create a lot of anxiety. So on an individual session, I'd be getting into the heart of what's really going on for that woman with me in that moment, and that's what I'd be working on. So that's the difference. When you're working in a group online or in a group setting, like when I'm teaching, it's more global. It's not specific.
Yeah. Well, there is still some benefit in that, but I can see what you're saying. You're not getting to the core issues for that individual person. It's just glossing over the edges kind of thing. But I still think we're going to get a lot of value out of today.
Oh, absolutely. When I'm teaching, we often do cravings.
Yeah, yes. I can imagine that would be very common.
Yes, and so many students contact me later and say, I still don't eat that food that we worked on just that one time. In fact, I had one student once who called me a week after our training, and she had worked on Tim Tams. She wanted to give up Tim Tams, but she rang me upset. She says, I'm so upset with you, Khadine. I'm like, oh, why? She says, oh, because I tapped on Tim Tams and now I don't even enjoy my hot chocolate.
Just for our international listeners, Tim Tams are Australian chocolate biscuits. Very, very popular in Australian culture. But yes, you must have tapped out chocolate altogether.
Well, that's right. And that was group tapping. And so we still see amazing benefits working with groups. And as we go through the EFT exercise today, some of the things I say people will really associate with will be really relevant to them, and some other things it won't. But in EFT, there's this thing called borrowed benefits, and you still get benefit from the tapping. In fact, if we took all the words out and we just tapped on the points, we'd still get a reduction in the stress hormone levels, which is just incredible.
Awesome. Well, I'm keen to get started. Are you?
I am.
Awesome. I'll leave it to you then.
Beautiful. So I thought today we would start with the physical aspects of the menopause transition. Okay. And so, of course, everybody can't see me. All you need to do at home is to tap on the points as I describe them and just repeat to yourself, preferably out loud, just the different statements I say. And if you can connect emotionally to those statements, even better. So do you have any other questions before we begin, Jen?
No, I'm really keen to get started.
Let's do it. Okay, so remember what you need to do is repeat after me and tap where I say.
Okay.
First off, we're going to tap on the side of our hand. So the little finger side of our hand, just with the flat of our fingers. Repeating after me, and you can repeat after me for everybody, Jen.
Okay.
Even though I'm experiencing
the
transition of menopause, I still deeply and completely honor and accept myself just the way I am. Okay, tapping on the other hand in the same spot now on the side of the hand, even though I've been having all these physical symptoms in this transition of menopause, I still accept myself and treasure myself just the way I am. And on the other hand, again on the side, even though I'm experiencing this transition of menopause, and it's bringing with it all these physical symptoms, and I don't like it, but I like me, and I accept me just as I am. So tapping on the top of your head now and continuing to repeat. These hot flushes, they come unexpectedly. Tapping on the inside of your eyebrows, they come out of nowhere. Outside of your eye, I get so hot and sweaty. Under your eyes, and then I get cold. And then the hot flushes come. Tapping under your nose. My energy gets so low. Tapping under lip. I feel so worn out. Tapping under your arms like a hand width under your underarm. I get so exhausted. Tapping on the top of your head. All this weight gain. Between your eyebrows. I don't know where it's come from. Side of eye, I'm having trouble losing it. Makes me feel uncomfortable. Under eye. My libido's become really low. Under nose. Sex has become uncomfortable. Under lip. I really miss sex. I miss having a fun sex life. Underarm. I really want that sex life back. Top of head. Or maybe I don't. Side of eyebrows, inside of eyebrows. But I feel pressured to have sex. I just don't feel like it anymore. Under nose. And my memory.
And my memory.
Underlip. I keep forgetting things.
I keep forgetting things.
My brain feels so foggy.
My brain feels so foggy.
Underarms. And my heart races.
And my heart races.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Up of head. Get these palpitations in my heart.
I get these palpitations in my heart.
Inside of eyebrows. And I get all these headaches.
And I get all of these headaches.
Breathing in. Breathing out and letting go. So tuning into your body, feeling how you feel.
I feel good.
You feel good?
Mm.
Are you feeling any different, or did anything come up for you during that?
I would say I probably have 5-10% more energy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, just I feel like I'm quite an energetic person anyway.
You are.
But I can feel just that little bit more.
That's great. And we only worked very generally. It wasn't very specific, and for a very short time. Like if we were to do a full session, it would go for about an hour, and we only went for about 5 minutes.
Well, that's a really good length of time, though, to show the listeners.
That's right.
What would actually happen, but in an individual consult, it would be whatever they were actually going through.
Exactly. So we'd be looking at the physical, like we just looked at physical complaints. We would be looking at whatever's happening emotionally and whatever fears are coming up.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Khadine. I feel really relaxed and energized at the same time.
That's great.
And I hope you guys also joined in and are feeling the difference. So that was a mini session. Imagine how wonderful you'd feel after a full personalized session. So, Khadine, can you tell the listeners how they can find you?
Yes, sure. So it's easy to find me. My website is embraceempowerment.com.
And I am going to put that in the show notes, by the way.
Yeah.
So you can go and look it up if you missed it.
And it doesn't matter where people are. I see people either face-to-face, online, over Zoom, or by phone. So it doesn't matter where anybody is. And then if people are interested in training, all that information is available online as well. And that I provide around Australia. And I'm just developing my live online training for that as well.
And you also do practitioner training?
Yes, all around Australia. And soon online live, which will be great.
Ah, fantastic. I didn't know about the new online one. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I want EFT to be able to be used really widely because it can just help so many people. So I can help even more people by training people to help people. Absolutely.
So something you mentioned to me before we got started was that you had a special offer for the listeners.
Yes. So if anybody is interested in attending one of the trainings, or if you're interested in an EFT package, all you need to do is mention Jen's podcast and you'll get $50 off.
Wow. Thank you. That's really generous of you, Khadine. So guys, don't forget that you need to mention the podcast in order to get the $50 off. When does this expire?
I don't mind as long as I mention you, Jen.
Oh, awesome. No worries. Well, look, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Well, that's it for this week, guys. Have an awesome week, and I look forward to chatting to you next week. Bye for now.
See you, Jen.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Menopause Natural Solutions. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. This podcast contains general information about menopause. It is provided as a guide and is not intended to replace medical advice.